Hey everyone, and welcome to r/Unresolved Mystery, the subreddit dedicated to the unresolved mysteries of the world. Here we get to see murders, disappearances, and a whole lot more. There is actually a TV show with the same name, so if you've seen that, you should know roughly what this place will be about. Now, I have covered this sub once before, and you guys seem to enjoy it. The stories here are absolutely awesome, and mind you, they're all true. So, with that said, let us not waste another second and get straight into this first one by user/King Drude. Marianne Rugas Knutsen lived with her family in Risør, a small and quiet town in southern Norway. The summer was over and everyone had started going back to school and work. Her mum, Torunn, had just given birth to her little sister 4 months earlier. Marianne was cross-eyed, had short dark hair, and thick glasses. Her parents were divorced, and her father had moved away. They recently moved into a brand new house with a large garden, which Marianne loved. Marianne's family present in Risør consisted of Marianne, Torunn, her mother, and Torunn's boyfriend. Her father lived in Kragerø, 40 minutes away. There is no mention of the boyfriend or where he was at the time of her disappearance. As it was 2:30 p.m, it's very likely he was at work. The last day. It's Friday, August 28th, 1981. Marianne went to school like always. The day was short and the children went home around 12 p.m. She went to a friend's house to play and went home later in the day. When she came home, her mum told her she was going to Arendal to buy curtains, a town 50 kilometers away. Marianne wants to come and her mum agrees. She gives Marianne some money and tells her to buy some ice cream before they leave. Marianne takes some money and goes the 340 meters to a small local shop called Fridendal. She buys ice cream and eats it up in the parking lot. She then returns home. When arriving at her house, her cousin Nina is there. Marianne decides she wants to stay home with Nina instead. The disappearance. Torunn gives her daughter some money for the second time before she leaves for Arendal, and tells her to use it on ice cream and candy later. Nina, Marianne, and her 4-month-old sister play and sing songs. It's now 2:30 p.m, and it's time for ice cream. She sets off towards the store 340 meters away for the second time this day. She brings empty bottles, a 10 Norwegian krone bill, and 2 1 Norwegian krone coins. Around 44 Norwegian krone in today's currency. About $5. She has no shoes and a light summer dress. She goes into the store and buys 2 ice creams and a small bag of candy. The cashier tells her to hurry home before the ice melts, and Marianne goes out and runs down the 3 steps. After the door closes behind her, she was never seen again. The aftermath. A total of 8 persons saw 6-year-old Marianne from the time she left her home around 12:30 p.m, and to the time she left the store with an ice cream cone in each hand. Still, the police didn't conduct interrogations before 4 or 5 days later. The news of a disappearance didn't reach the public until August 31st, when the biggest newspaper in Norway filled its whole first page with the words, "Where is Marianne?" A big search started, which included police, Red Cross, bloodhounds, and the local community. They searched land and water. Helicopters flew over the entire town with heat-seeking cameras. The whole town got involved. Eventually, Kripos, the National Unit for Combating Organised and Other Serious Crimes, was called. The town was filled with police, Kripos, reporters, and other search party members. There was even a psychic present. The official search lasted until 7th of September. Absolutely no technical evidence was found. A crime scene was also never found. Suspects, convictions, and resumptions. 16th of October 1981, a man was brought in from Vegardshei, a county 30 minutes away from Risør. He was arrested and charged with the kidnapping of Marianne. He was released 22nd of June 1982, and all charges were dropped due to lack of evidence. Marianne's father was also a suspect, but turned out to have nothing to do with it. In 1998, Thomas Quick confessed to having kidnapped and killed Marianne. He had confessed to have killed Therese Johansson in 1988, a 9-year-old that disappeared, along with multiple unsolved cases in Norway and Sweden. The police abandoned that lead in 2002. In 2008, Quick withdrew his confession. The Marianne case has been reopened multiple times. Kripos started investigating again in 1993 and 1994 because of new tips. They started again in 1998 after Quick confessed. Nothing was ever found. In 2016, the self-proclaimed psychic Michael Winger made a YouTube video claiming to have seen the culprit and the whereabouts of Mary Ann. This video triggered a new search outside Rissor, where over 100 people participated. They did not find anything, and Winger deleted the video. Greta Strom, a private investigator, claimed in 2017 that the police had made several mistakes in the case. She asked that the case should be reopened, but the county police denied the request. The Mary Ann case is now strafferettslig foreldet, meaning no punishment can be made if a culprit is found. Yeah, sorry about my Swedish accent there, guys. Not my sort of thing. Oh, Norwegian, sorry, my bad. Just got myself killed over there. I sort of just assumed it sounds a bit like German and went with that. Actually, one thing in this case I'm curious about is if anyone but the shopkeeper saw Mary Ann leave the shop. Because to me, that would be a prime place for either the shopkeeper or just someone in the shop to find her, kidnap her, and then dispose of her however they saw fit. I don't know, that to me just seems like a likely option, and all the sources for this case are actually with the post. I'll put the link in the description, so if you want to know more, that is always available to you. And now, let's move on to the next one by user/Diego C747. Now, the way this post is structured, it gives a date and what happened on that date. I'll keep to this structure, it'll just sound a little bit different to normal. I will also start with the TLDR because I think it gives some really good information. Relisha Rudd, who had lived with her mother at a homeless shelter at the old DC General Hospital, has been the subject of an intense search. She disappeared while she was spending time with a shelter janitor, Kahil Tatum, 51, who shot his wife and then himself. Relisha simply vanished. November 2013. Social workers found evidence that children were unsupervised and that one child had been thrown to the ground and slapped, causing a split lip. This occurred while the family was living at the homeless shelter at the old DC General Hospital. February 26, 2014. Khalil Malik Tatum, a janitor at the homeless shelter at the old DC General Hospital, is seen with Relisha walking toward a room in a Holiday Inn Express on Bladensburg Road, NE. Police believed Relisha's mother, Shamika Young, handed her daughter over to Tatum, but Young denies she did so. March 1st, 2014. DC Police Chief Kathy Lanier said there is no confirmed sightings of Tatum and Relisha together after March 1st, and no sightings of Relisha at all after that date. March 13th, 2014. A counsellor at Payne Elementary writes a referral to the DC Child and Family Services Agency, notifying Relisha's many absences. She missed more than 30 days, but officials say many were excused by her mother for illness, citing a Dr. Tatum. March 19th, 2014, the investigation begins. Acting on the referral, a social worker calls Tatum, who arranges a meeting at the shelter. He doesn't show up. The worker finds that he's a janitor and had left his shift early that day. The referral says that a school official called concerned regarding educational neglect and stated that Miss Young was unable to account for Relisha's whereabouts. DC police launch a missing person investigation. At 9:39 PM, an officer calls Tatum's cell, but it goes straight to voicemail and is never again reactivated. At 10:04 PM, Tatum checks into room 132 of the Red Roof Inn in Oxon Hill, MD, and is seen with 4 people. None of them, police later say, is Relisha. Less than an hour later, 3 people leave. March 20th, 2014. Police find missing truck and charge Tatum. One person returns to the motel at 5:40 AM and sees Tatum's wife, Andrea Tatum, lying on the bed. He isn't allowed inside. He tells police that in the last month, he helped Tatum do internet searches for a handgun and downloaded images on an Apple iPad. At 8:01 AM, Prince George's County Police received a request from DC Police to help with the missing child. They learn Tatum might be driving a maroon 2007 Chevrolet Trailblazer with a Washington Redskins emblem on the back window. Police say the vehicle was seen parked outside room 132 of the Red Roof Inn. Police went inside and found Andrea Tatum, 51, lying face down on a bed, and shot once in the head. Police put out an alert for another vehicle, a white GMC truck, but find that abandoned in Hyattsville. Tatum is charged in a warrant with murder in a connection with the killing. March 25th, 2014. A reward for information. The FBI releases video, seen above, of Tatum and Relisha in the Holiday Inn in Northeast, taken on February 26th. They post a $25,000 reward for the return of Relisha, and police in Prince George's post a separate $25,000 reward for information leading to Tatum's arrest in the killing. March 26, 2014. Officials say they were duped. District officials say they were duped into thinking Relisha's extended absences were excused, citing the false reference of a Dr. Tatum. They defended the handling of the case, saying school notified child welfare officials in accordance with the law. March 28, 2014. Tatum had contact with other girls. Police say Tatum also had contact with several other young girls at the shelter, even though such contact is strictly prohibited. March 31st, 2014. Police body found in park, likely Tatum. Police Chief Kathy Lanier says investigators think a man found dead Monday in a DC park is Khalil Tatum, the janitor suspected of abducting 8-year-old Relisha Rudd. April 1st, 2014. Body positively identified as Tatum. The found body during a search for missing Relisha Rudd is positively identified as Khalil Tatum. April 6, 2014. Wanting to escape. Relatives say Relisha wanted out of the homeless shelter so desperately that she would fake asthma attacks to stay at their homes. Adults who were close to her described her as arriving with filthy clothes, dirty hair, and an empty stomach. And they said she often didn't want to leave. April 19th, 2014. Volunteers undeterred. More than 24 searchers fanned out across 4 locations in Northeast and Southeast Washington, clutching flyers with a ubiquitous black and white image of Relisha wearing braids. December 10th, 2015. Police resumed search for Relisha Rudd. The search resumed for Relisha Rudd as more than 60 police officers, cadets, and federal agents looked carefully through a large construction site in Northeast Washington. April 6, 2016. Police launched new search. Police launched a new search for Relisha, saying it would involve divers around the National Arboretum. And that is it from what I can see. Apparently this was a really big case around the time. And honestly, so sad. This happened so recently. A lot of these are from like the 80s or even earlier than that. But here we're talking 2013 through 2016. This is just within the last decade. I mean, I have got to say, this janitor does seem suspicious, but considering he's killed himself, there is not much information that can be extracted, and it's likely this case will remain a unresolved disappearance forever. And here's the next post by user/TripleGuyver96. Hello all, I don't know if this case has been posted or not, since it happened some time ago. But ever since it happened, I will always find myself thinking about it. This case received relatively low coverage from the media, due to the fact that at the same time, in Auburn, Alabama, a student from a local community college, Anaya Blanchard, the stepdaughter of UFC fighter Walt Harris, went missing, and her body was later found after an attempted kidnapping. On August 19th, a Taiwanese exchange graduate student by the name of Chi Kai-lai was reported missing by the Auburn University Taiwanese Student Association, after he had not reported to any classes a week after the fall semester began. It was soon determined that Lai was last seen on CCTV leaving a restaurant in downtown Auburn, within walking distance of his home. All his luggage remained at his apartment, and no activity was discovered on his phone. No leads were provided, and not many people really seemed to discuss it much. In October, everyone became focused on the disappearance and murder of Anaya Blanchard, and the case of Lai's disappearance was soon forgotten. On November 15th, his body was discovered in a shed near the rural outskirts of Auburn. This is roughly 3 or 4 miles away from where he lived, in a part of Auburn that no one would have been walking around, even if they lived in Auburn. It would have probably taken him roughly an hour to arrive at this shed from his apartment if he walked. A quote from the coroner's report. The report also stated that there was no indication of any trauma, and foul play is not suspected. Lai's cause of death is listed as undetermined, and the manner of death is listed as undetermined, the office added. No one knows why Lai was in the back of a shed, which was nowhere near the Auburn University campus. The case is still ongoing. My thoughts. As someone who grew up and went to university at Auburn, I find this case very strange, and I think there's more to this case than the police are providing. As a side note, Auburn, Alabama is historically known for being a relatively safe city in Alabama, and the population is only about 65,000, making this a small college town. Recently, however, more and more crime has been happening. Also, I think that this case has been swept under the rug since Lai was an international student. While Auburn University and the city of Auburn have a diverse amount of people and people from around the globe living there, I still think that the police were more concerned with the other disappearance of Anaya Blancher. It's unlikely that it's related to Anaya Blancher's case, but I find it interesting that these two cases happened at the same time. I wanted to ask all of you, what do you think happened? Was this just a strange death? Did Lai meet someone he shouldn't have? Could the police be covering up something? I'm perplexed, but I wanted to hear what other theories people may have. Ooh, here's an interesting comment by user/Riptide81. I was just looking up suicide methods in Taiwan, and apparently charcoal burning is common particularly among the youth. Basically, start a small fire with charcoal in an enclosed space and die by carbon monoxide poisoning. I had never heard of this trend before, and would speculate that if US-based investigators found just a small amount of burnt charcoal, they would probably assume it was to keep warm or cook something. Wow, okay, that might actually be an option. That is interesting. On the other hand, I also wanted to point out that because this was an international student, it just made things a lot harder. Because as an international student, Lai wouldn't have made many friends yet, wouldn't have had any family, and basically would have probably lived on his own. Which means it would have been incredibly hard to track him if this was someone else who killed him and not a suicide attempt. That is a very interesting case. And guys, I think this post will be the last one for today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, make sure to subscribe to the channel for Reddit videos 3 times every single week. But with that said, that is it from me. I hope you all enjoyed, and all I want to do is see you all here next time. See you later, guys.